Hi, everyone, and Happy New Year. My name is Jennifer Blank, and I'm a Director of Alumni Engagement at Regis. I'm pleased to welcome you to the Office of Alumni Engagement's January webinar. Before we move into the presentation itself, I wanted to take a minute to explain how this webinar will flow. After this brief introduction, we will move into a 30-minute presentation. Afterwards, there will be a question and answer session for the remainder of the hour. Attendees will be muted the whole time, and the chat feature is disabled so I don't miss anything. If you have a question, and we definitely encourage questions, please submit it using the questions and answers function at any time. I will review the questions throughout the session and moderate the Q&A with the presenter by asking your questions. Also, the presenter provided a worksheet for the webinar that you were sent either yesterday or today. If you can't find it, please check your spam folder. But if you didn't receive it, please enter your email into the Q&A box and I will send it to you. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted on the Regis University Alumni Association YouTube channel. Tomorrow, you will receive a follow-up email with the link to the YouTube channel as well as some additional information. It's now my pleasure to introduce our presenter, Jena Twete. Jena Twete is a certified health coach with over 10 years of experience in the fitness and wellness field. She specializes in fitness, nutrition, and goal setting, helping people reach their health and wellness goals and empowering them to be the creators of their future selves. She currently serves as Regis's Assistant Director of Wellness and Recreation, and holds a bachelor's in exercise science and a master's in sports nutrition. Today, Jena will help us understand what it takes to reach our goals. She will discuss visioning, including its 5 principles, and break it down so you can use the approach to achieve any goal. She will also share ways to figure out if your goals are too far-fetched and how to plan so challenges don't derail you. Along the way, she will provide lots of examples to show you how it all works. Thank you, Jena, for helping us understand the steps we need to take to become our future desired selves. Now, without further ado, Jena Twete.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for hopping on today to listen to this little webinar and my presentation on goal setting. Like Jennifer said, today I am going to talk about visioning, and I'm going to break it down for you guys, kind of explain what visioning is, and then do the parts of visioning to help you really work on setting those goals, and I will give examples for that along the way. I'm also going to break down behavioral goals for you guys as well, because when you vision your future self, you also kind of need goals to get there as well, and the behavioral goals are going to help you get there, mainly utilizing SMART goals. From there, we're then going to look at 3-month goals, so kind of looking out the next 12 weeks, and then kind of break that down into weekly goals to see and make sure that your 3-month goal, which potentially will go into a year-long goal, is attainable and can be easily broken down into attainable steps. And then we are going to be putting it all together. So what visioning is, it is the vision of your desired future self. It's who you want to be in the future. And it kind of plans, or it makes the foundation for your planning and it kind of gives you that energy behind all of it. If you have that vision for who you kind of want to become, it's really going to help drive the rest of this for you. When looking at visions, the best visions are, 1, grounded. So you're building on current success. So if maybe you guys have kind of started towards your future self, and you've had successes along the way, you really want to like capitalize on those. Or if this is a future self that maybe you've been striving for a while now, you really want to kind of build on those current successes to help ground you. They also are bold. So they're going to stretch the status quo. It's not going to be something that you can really easily get to. So it's not kind of like, sure, that's easy enough. I can change myself to be that. You're really going to try and want to like push yourself to do something. They also are desired. You truly want this. So once again, it's not something that's really like, it's okay if I get that, but if I don't get it, it's really not that big of a deal. You really want this, and you really want to make whatever change it is in your life. So you really need to desire it, because if you don't desire it, it's going to be really hard to get from point A to point B, because there's really not going to be that motivation behind it. They also are palpable. So it's as if your vision was already true. It's like you can grasp it and it's already there. If it's something so far-fetched, it's going to be really hard to obtain, because it's not, you don't really feel like you can even get there, like you can even hold it, like it can even be part of who you are. So you want to make sure that palpable, which helps make them easily, well, not easy, but it makes it attainable. And then you want it to be participatory. So you really need to involve many stakeholders in this. If it's just you, it's not going to be as successful, but you need others who can help you along the way, who can kind of be, maybe if your goal involves working out, who can be your workout partner, who will be that person that will wake up at 5 a.m. with you and go to the gym, because maybe that's really the best time that works for you, because once you get home after work, you have so many other things that you need to do, and it's like, if I just go in the morning, I'm going to get this done. So who's going to be that person that helps you along the way? Or maybe the change that you're trying to make affects other people. So maybe you're looking to better your health, to be a great role model for your children, for example. So your children are also kind of stakeholders in this change that you're looking to make. So you kind of have to keep that into consideration. Either it's affecting other people, or you have people there to kind of help you along the way. So a compelling vision identifies what you want. It needs to be something that is present and affects other areas of life or others in your life, kind of what I just chatted about. And it's hard to strive for something that you can't easily see or touch. So once again, it needs to be palpable, but it is easy to strive for something that is constantly present in your life. So let's go back to my example. If you're trying to change something about you for your children, to show them something, those children are constantly present in your life. So they can be a really good constant reminder of something that you need to do. Or maybe if weight loss is your goal, that's something that's constantly present in your life, and you're going to be constantly thinking about it. If it's something that, can't think of a good example off the top of my head at the moment, but maybe something that isn't really present in your life, it's kind of hit or miss here and there, you're really only reminded about it when it happens. And so you kind of can easily fall off track. So keep that in mind when you're doing that, that visioning of who your future self wants to be. So now we're going to break it down into parts of visioning. So the parts of visioning are values, outcomes, behaviors, motivators, strengths, challenges, and supports. Now I'm going to break these down and let you guys know what each one of them are. So values, who do I want to be? It's something that you value, like the word says, and it's who you want to become. So it really means something important to you. It's not, like I just kind of gave an example before, something that, if it happens here or there, like that would be really awesome. But it's really something that you want to change about yourself, and it holds some value to it. There's outcomes to your vision. So there's results that you want to achieve. And we're going to talk a little bit later about this too. Those results have to be measurable. So there has to be an end destination and an outcome of who you want to be. If you say something like, I would like to lose weight, there's really not a defined outcome for that. There's a result, I guess, because you said you wanted to lose weight, but we really don't have too much information for it. So you really want to kind of think about that when you're looking at your vision. You want to kind of make it a little bit more specific, which we're going to talk about more later as well. Behaviors. So there's activities that you're going to do and you want to do them consistently. So for example, say you want to lose weight and you're reading all these articles and they're saying you have to do running and this high intensity workouts, and that's not your thing. You're like, I am not a runner. I do not want to be a runner. That is not my thing. I enjoy going on walks with my dog. Okay, let's think about that. If you pick your behavior to lose weight as I'm going to run, say, for example, 3 days a week, you might do that maybe the first week or two, and then maybe it might change. You'd be like, oh, okay, I do like running. But more than likely, you're going to be like, I still don't like running. It's not my thing. I don't want to do this. And you're going to fall off the wagon and you're not going to be very successful. But if you like walking your dog, pick that as a behavior. I'm going to walk my dog 3 days a week for a certain distance or a certain time, and maybe increase that over time as well. Because no matter what, that's still going to help you lose weight. You don't have to do the high intensity interval training or the running to get those results. There's many ways to get to an endpoint. So keep that in mind. Don't pick things that are not you, because you're not going to be successful at it because it isn't who you are. Yes, we're trying to make a change on who we are, but that doesn't mean we have to completely change everything about our lives. So keep that in mind to help make these goals and your future self more attainable. Motivators. So why does this matter to you a lot right now? That is going to be a huge motivator for you, because it's a stakeholder in your life and it means a lot to you. The motivators can be intrinsic, so it can be something really important to you inside, or it can also be extrinsic. So it could be other people in your life that are your motivators as well. Maybe someone you know has gotten really sick because of being overweight or something like that, and you want to lose weight to show them that they can get healthier if they also change their lifestyle. So you're kind of like the motivator for that person, but that person is also motivating you. So there's really a lot of options there when it comes to motivators. Then also think about your strengths and the talents and abilities that you have that you're going to draw upon. So really think about those and hone those in and utilize those. Your strengths are going to help you succeed. And you really want to engage those and use those to your benefit. So think about those kind of things. So for example, if we go back to my, running versus walking thing, the walking is your strength. It's what you enjoy doing and it makes you happy. So draw upon that and use that as a way to get to your end point. And then the other one is your challenges too. So we want to really hone in those strengths, but we also need to look ahead and think about any challenges that may come up and how you're going to overcome them so that when they happen, they don't derail you. So for example, say, since I'm a fitness person, weight loss is one of the easiest examples I can give. So I'm going to stick with that a lot today. But say, for example, your goal is weight loss. So looking ahead at the next 3 months, we have Valentine's Day coming up. If that's a holiday you love, maybe you like to indulge during Valentine's Day, you're going to have to think about that challenge. And maybe your favorite thing in the world is chocolate-covered strawberries. And you really wait until Valentine's Day to have those, and you get a lot because they're super delicious. But you want to keep that in mind. Be like, ooh, Valentine's Day is coming up. I love chocolate-covered strawberries. Normally I eat a good amount of them, but I also have this goal. And I want to get to my future self. So maybe this Valentine's Day, I'm going to find one really awesome chocolate-covered strawberry and stick to that and call it good. So that challenge is there. We've figured out how to overcome it, but we haven't overcome it to the fact where it's like, wow, now I'm really depriving myself. Like, this is what I live for one time of year, chocolate-covered strawberries. This is what I want. You're still going to get it. You're still going to get that little fix, but it's not going to be to the point where you eat so many that you're like, oh, well, now the rest doesn't really matter anymore, because that's not true. So kind of think about that. Another one, maybe a St. Patrick's Day, if that's something you like to celebrate. Usually involves a good amount of drinking. So, kind of keep those things in mind. Maybe I will only have X number of drinks when I go out for St. Patrick's Day or something like that. So kind of challenges that may come into place and then how you're going to overcome them. Another way to look at it too is if you've tried to get to this future self before, what challenges happened before that derailed you, and how are we going to overcome those so it doesn't derail you again? So there's kind of multiple ways to look at challenges. And then supports. What support team instructors do you have in place? So that workout buddy, like I talked about earlier, or maybe there's a friend that you're going to have, text or call you and ask, how are you doing in your journey to your future self? What have you done this week to stay on track with that journey? It could be something like that. Maybe there's someone who has a same or similar goal to yours, and you guys are going to work together. So there's a lot of options there, but make sure you have support. I know, I'm one of those people too who's like, I can just do this on my own. Like, I can get it done. But really, that support system makes a huge difference, and it also makes you feel so much better. So keep that in mind, that you need to have that support. So now that I've gone through visioning, what it is and what the parts are, I'm going to give you guys a couple examples. So here are some examples of visions. My wellness vision is that I have healthy eating habits and set a good example for my children. So I kind of talked about that one a little bit already. So they're visioning to have healthy eating habits, and they are going to do it, for their children. And there's a lot of specifics in this as well. So as you can see, they're not just like a couple words or really like short sentence. They have a good amount of detail to them when writing a vision. A non-specific vision would be, I want to have healthy habits. Okay. Let's get a little more specific and dive into it a little deeper. Another example that I have for you all is my health vision in the next year is to improve my health. In particular, I want to lower total cholesterol and lower my risk of heart disease. So once again, they could have just stopped there, like my health vision in the next year is to improve my health. Okay, like that's a good start, but what are you really looking at? And it's total cholesterol and risk of heart disease. So there's those specific components to it. So once we have our vision, we need to have some goals to help us get to that future self. We need some steps along the way to get where we are. And that's where our behavioral goals come in. Behavioral goals make your visions real. So at this point in time with visioning, you just have a vision, but you don't really have steps to get there. So we're going to make them real. Effective behavioral goals are specific, like I mentioned, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So when you put this together, as you guys can see, they're called SMART goals. So we are going to break those down here in a little bit to kind of help you guys write your goals and your visions. As you guys can see on your worksheet, you have some little sections to do that. If you want, you can be jotting down notes now, or you can, table that and work on it later when you watch this podcast back later as well. So you kind of have some options here, but if you want to jot down some notes in this section, I definitely encourage that. So with your behavior goals, you're going to break down larger goals into incremental goals. So that's where we're kind of talking about, this is where I want to be maybe in a year. Here's what it looks like maybe for the next 3 months. Here's what it looks like for the next, 6 weeks. Here's the weekly goals. And we're going to kind of, make it big and break it down smaller and smaller. They're going to have that intrinsic value like I talked about with your visions. You're going to address those environmental factors, so maybe some challenges that could come up along the way. And the nice, awesome thing about behavioral goals is that they evolve as you progress. It's a trial and correction. A lot of people get stuck on the fact that, oh, I didn't hit this goal. I guess I'm not going to make it to the end and where I want to be. That's not true. Your goals can change and evolve with where you are in life. Say, you're trying to lose weight and you end up breaking your ankle. Okay, well, that's going to put a little bump in the road. We definitely need to recover, but how can we work around that? Just because you break your ankle doesn't mean you have to sit on the couch for the rest of your life. There's definitely ways that you can work around that. There's ways that maybe you can still move around. There's definitely a lot of options out there. And so maybe by 6 weeks, you're not going to hit, your initial goal because you broke your ankle. So let's shift this and move that around so you still can become successful by the end. So always keep that in mind. So here are our SMART goals. I'm going to break down each one of these for you, but this is what it looks like as a whole. So S, like I said, is specific. It's the who, what, when, where, why, which. It's all of our W words. So it defines the goal as much as possible with no ambiguous language. So like I've been stating, these things have to be really specific. If you just say, I want to lose weight, it's not very specific. There's no like pounds. There's no like how you're going to do it. There's no timeline, which are kind of going to be the other parts of the SMART goal. You have to keep it in mind. It needs to be specific. So who is involved? What do I want to accomplish? Where will it be done? Why am I doing this? Which constraints or requirements do I have? So who is involved? Maybe you, maybe someone else with you. What do you want to accomplish? I want to lose 20 pounds by my sister's wedding on X date, for example. It's going to be done at 24-Hour Fitness, because that's where I have a membership, or the Regis University Fitness Center. It's up to you guys. Why are you doing this? I want to look great for my sister's wedding, so I can have, these pictures to remember this day and feel good and confident, standing by her side. And then, any constraints or requirements do you have? I need to be working out at least X amount of days a week, for example. So that's just a little mini example of how it needs to be specific. It also needs to be measurable. So you need to go from and then to something. And you need to be able to track that progress and have a measure for that outcome. So how much, how many, how will I know when my goal is accomplished? So that 20 pounds is a measurable amount. So you could even put a starting weight to an end weight as well if you like. Also, it's really nice in this section too, if, for example, weight loss is your goal, to maybe include inches. Maybe there is a pant size you want to get to, or some inches that you want to get to, which really helps you stay on track with your goal. Because sometimes, as you may or may not know, that scale does not move. But the inches do start to shrink. So this way you kind of have these multiple gauges to measure your success. It also needs to be attainable. So is the goal reasonable enough to be accomplished? So for example, if in the next 3 months you're going to this wedding and you say you want to lose 50 pounds, that's going to be something really hard to attain in 3 months. I'm not saying that it's not doable, but it definitely is going to be something very, very hard to get to, which could potentially be discouraging. So keep that in mind. So make sure the goal is not out of reach, or also make sure it's not so easily attainable that you don't really have to try for it. Okay? So kind of keep that in mind as well, that, what you're trying to achieve needs to be something that you can reach and hold. So it needs to be palpable once again. It needs to be relevant, so it's worthwhile. Is the goal worthwhile, and will it meet your needs? Is each goal consistent with other goals you have established and fits with your immediate and long-term plans? So for example, if your goal is weight loss and within there you also say, I want to buy a new house. Well, that's awesome. But that's like a whole different set of goals. So you kind of have to be running them separately and not together. So kind of think about that as well. I know that's a super far-fetched plan, and I don't think anyone would do that, but just got to throw it out there. And then lastly, it needs to be timely. So when? It has to have an end date, a month, a day, and a year. So it could just be like by the end of June 2019. You don't necessarily need to have a specific day. You can say the end of the month or the beginning of the month. But for like with my wedding example, there is going to be a day tied with that. And maybe you want to reach that goal the week before. So kind of keep that sense, that stuff in mind. And remember, it needs to have a sense of urgency. So if you say, I'd like to lose 20 pounds by June of 2021, there is no urgency to get those 20 pounds off 2.5 years from now. So keep that in mind, that there really needs to be that urgency behind it. Otherwise, you're just going to be like, I'll wait. It's not a big deal. You really want to need to achieve this and you want to get there. Otherwise, you maybe should reevaluate and see maybe what is something better for this point in time in your life. So to kind of wrap it, or actually not wrap it up, but move kind of into our next phase to kind of go with your worksheet. When you guys are thinking about this, I want you to think about a 3-month behavioral goal. So you might have your goal for the end of the year, your 2019 New Year's resolution, but I want you to look at the next 3 months. So it's kind of a smaller period, so it doesn't seem so daunting and so far away. And then within those 3 months, I want you to break that down into weekly goals. So there's going to be approximately 12 weekly goals. And then from there, I then would like you to look at the next 6 weeks. So half of that. Are those next 6 weeks attainable? If not, then let's reevaluate. So look at those weekly goals that go into the 3-month, and then look at the 6 weeks, and is that attainable? That really helps you stay on track if you boil it down week by week and kind of cut things down and in half as you go. Otherwise, once again, it's just going to be this far-fetched idea that needs to happen by December 31st of this year. And there's not really anything constantly reminding you to get to there. So kind of think of that as you guys are working on your visioning and then your goals to get to that vision. So here is an example of a behavioral goal. So I will write in my journal each evening 3 things that happened that day for which I am grateful, and share them with my significant other or family member. The desired outcome is to increase peace of mind so that I reduce my blood pressure. So the desired outcome is kind of that vision, and then this is how they're going to get there with this behavioral goal. When I break this down into more of a SMART goal, I'll show you guys how you can break this down into 1 week, or week 1, week 2, week 3, so on and so forth. But this is kind of the start here with this behavioral goal. As you guys can see, it's very specific. There's someone who they're gonna kind of report to. And it's a long sentence. It's not, once again, it's not 3 words. It's not, I'm gonna write in my journal so that I can increase my peace of mind for the desired outcome. There's a lot of detail in this. So when you break these things down more into SMART goals, they're going to look kind of like this. Make a grocery list and shop on Saturday morning for 2, and then the number growing throughout the year or your weeks or your months, healthy snacks per workday. And then healthy snacks are identified as fruit, yogurt, or an energy bar. So as you guys can see, this is really specific. They're going to make a grocery list, so it's going to be written down. They're always going to shop on Saturday morning, so there's a specific day and time that's going to happen. There's a specific number of healthy snacks that they're going to purchase. They're purchasing them for the workday, and they've identified what a healthy snack is. So it's very specific, and they can't, you can go off track and not buy those healthy snacks, but hopefully with it written down and you seeing it all the time, it's going to be that constant reminder that this is what my healthy snack is. And so once again, we're going to start out with 2 days a week and then grow to 3 days and 4 days and 5 days and 6 days. Well, hopefully you don't work 6 days a week, but you can have them for the weekend. Another example is bring lunch to work blank times a week. So once again, that number is going to grow. 1 time a week, I'm going to bring lunch to work if you're not a bring lunch to work person, then 2 times a week, then 3 times a week. So it's getting into that meal planning and that meal prepping. And it's nice and easy to kind of start, with that lunch, and maybe you can work up to dinner and breakfast if meal planning maybe is your goal. And that might be a goal within helping you with weight loss. So there's kind of multiple pieces there. Another one is reduce my overall level of stress by doing 15 minutes of relaxation blank days per week. So once again, 1 to 2 to 3. And then relaxation is defined as listening to music or doing stretches. So that's what this person defined relaxation as for them. Once again, this is different for every person. Relaxation might be reading a book for you. It might be just laying there with your eyes closed for a little bit. It might be utilizing that app called Calm, where it plays like really quiet sounds like rain and it has like a picture. Who knows? It is what it is for you. So keep that in mind, that these are different for everyone. So we have our vision and our behavior goal or goals. Now what? You need to commit to them. Keep them written down and tell people about them to help keep you accountable. So it's really helpful to maybe put it on a sticky note and place it on your mirror or on the door you walk out of to your car. Someplace where you're going to see them all the time. Don't write them down in a notebook, close it, and put it on a shelf. That's not really going to remind you. But then you're also going to have those people to help remind you as well. Make changes when needed. Remember, this is an always working, ever-changing document that fits your lifestyle to make you successful. It's about you. It's not about what society thinks or what the internet says or what others say. This is about you, and it needs to match your lifestyle so that you can be successful. And then get started today. You guys have that worksheet to kind of help you get started today, kind of help you work through all this information that I just shared with you. And what better day to get started than today, right? So before I leave you guys, I do want to give you this little motivational story. So this right here is Jim Thorpe. Look closely at the photo. You can see that he's wearing different socks and shoes. This wasn't a fashion statement. It was the 1912 Olympics, and Jim, an American Indian from Oklahoma, represented the U.S. in track and field. On the morning of his competition, his shoes were stolen. Luckily, Jim ended up finding 2 shoes in a garbage can. That's the pair that he's wearing in this photo. But one of the shoes was too big, so he had to wear an extra sock. Wearing these shoes, Jim won 2 gold medals that day. So this is a perfect reminder that you don't have to resign to the excuses that have held you back. So what if life hasn't been fair? What are you going to do about it today? Whatever you woke up with this morning, stolen shoes, ill health, failed relationships, don't let it stop you from running your race. You can experience more in life if you'll get over the excuses and get on with living. You can have reasons or you can have results, and you can't have both. So just a little motivation for you guys to get you going on your goals and your visioning and your future self. Also, I just wanted to remind you all, if you are local in the area, we do have alumni benefits at our fitness center. You can just get a daily membership. So maybe if you're just in town for a little bit for $5, you can also get weekly memberships for $10. So if you're around maybe for like the holidays or something or a long trip, you can totally work out with us. We also have monthly memberships that are only $20. And our year-long membership is only $125. So we have some great, awesome, amazing deals for you guys if the fitness center is a place you want to continue working out with, even though you've graduated. So that is all I have for you guys for now. Thank you so much for your time and for listening to me. And I'm going to open it up for questions.
Thank you so much, Jena. Really enjoyed that. And now it is time for our question and answer session. And to get us started, can you provide, you talked about an accountability buddy. Mm-hmm. And do you have examples of other supports or structures that people can put in place to help them achieve their goals?
Yeah. So accountability buddies are always like super, super awesome, but maybe that may not be someone in your life. And so sometimes it also helps to have little rewards for yourself as you go along as well. So something that you would really like once you met, your first six little mini goals within your big goals. So maybe that is after I lose a certain amount of weight within those certain amount of weeks, I'm going to go get myself a new pair of workout pants. So that can also be something that can hold you accountable, especially if you like that kind of motivation, like a new pair of pants or shoes. Or maybe you'll reward yourself by going out to a nice dinner with friends, or maybe at the end of it, maybe a vacation if that's something that's in your budget. So those can also be kind of things to help you stay accountable. Now, with those options, there's totally the option to be like, well, I didn't get there, but I'm still going to buy the pants, which is totally cool. You can do that. But sometimes, that actual physical person could be a little more helpful, but those are also other options. I like to use those ones for myself, get a new pair of Lulus every now and then. So that's always great.
Great. And a follow-up question to that, a related question,
Mm-hmm.
is what if your support, let's say what if your accountability buddy, for example, becomes demotivated and then that derails you? Do you have any strategies that can help with that?
Yeah. So, I've definitely had workout buddies who have failed me. I think maybe we've all been there. And so sometimes it's maybe, talking to them and letting them know that this was really important to you, and the way that they're going about it is starting to get you off your path. So maybe when doing your visioning, think about that challenge that could happen. And how are you personally going to overcome that? Sometimes maybe hopefully they kind of fall off track by the time you've really created a lot of intrinsic motivation, and maybe you might get lucky and they fall off track and you're like, what, I'm still going to keep going. Other things that can sometimes help is if you're going to maybe a group fitness classes and you get to know the instructor really well. If your workout buddy kind of fails you, maybe you still have that connection with your group fitness instructor and maybe even other people in the class. And so maybe you filled them in on your goal and they're going to kind of help keep you on track too. So that way, if they do that, they don't, 100% derail you. So you kind of like a backup plan.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of fits what you said about identifying the challenges that you're going to encounter. When you talked about Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day or anything, maybe this is just off the top of my head, maybe you put that contingency plan in place at the beginning, right? Like what if your accountability partner does kind of fizzle out?
Mm-hmm.
Contingency plans are helpful. So
yes.
Anyway, so next question. Would it be better to set a bold goal from the start or to set small goals and leverage them up?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm kind of a bigger fan of setting the, smaller step-by-step goals and then leveraging them up. Because sometimes if you set this vast goal, say maybe it's like a year-long goal, it may seem like so far-fetched and out of reach that even with the small, weekly goals and baby steps, it doesn't even add up to that end point. So I like to kind of look at like the 3 months and then the 6 weeks and the weekly goals, and then kind of build up upon that. Because I think that can help you build into that bigger goal, depending on what it is. Weight loss, that works really, really well for, and really massive lifestyle changes, that kind of little working into the big, I see tends to be more successful with people that I've worked with.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I know that you've talked about, conversations we have had, you talked about having clients What is there an example or two of kind of some of the bigger changes that you've seen clients able to achieve?
Yeah. Probably one of my biggest success stories is my client who lost 50 pounds. And within him losing 50 pounds, we actually made a complete life change. He was in his 30s and he had really yet to eat fruits or vegetables in his life. And I was like, oh my gosh, you are missing out. I was like, fruit is like the best thing ever. Personal opinion, obviously. And so we made this really vast lifestyle change that also trickled down into his family. So when they were having cookouts and barbecues, and when he'd go out to eat with his family, because his family ate out a lot, he started to kind of show them these healthier choices, and that it's really not that daunting, and that I made it very easy for him. He actually also was suicidal, and we kind of combated that as well. So it's a pretty awesome success story that I have. But within that, he did lose 50 pounds. That was about within a year. It did take us a little bit to get going because it was a very intense life change. And so we had some, roadblocks in the beginning, but I worked with him to kind of, take his like negative talk and make it more positive. And that's, kind of how we got to where we are. And that's a big thing that I continue to coach to this day, is that positive self-talk really gets you a long way, because there's so many negative things out in the world nowadays, just on social media, and what people say without even realizing how hurtful they can be. And you really need to just continue that really positive self-talk. And I actually teach a lot of my clients now that there is a positive in every negative situation. And they try and challenge me on that. And I always find that little positive thing, and they're like, dang it. You got me again. So just kind of always thinking like that too. And that's going to help, combat any roadblocks that come along, or challenges or stuff like that as well.
Yeah, along those same lines, then the next question is, so negative self-talk you found to be one of the big challenges. Are there other kind of roadblocks that you've seen consistently across, when people try to set the goals or try to achieve goals?
Yeah, a big one that I see is when I work mainly with weight loss clients, is making meals and eating at home. Because we live in such a busy lifestyle that it becomes a lot easier to, just grab the quick meal from somewhere, and get it, sit down and eat. But in reality, a lot of that fast food is what makes you really groggy and tired. And that prevents you from getting to your goals, because you need to have that energy to do it, and you need that good brain power. So teaching people how to eat at home, and that.
Are you there? I think we lost you. Okay. So Jena, we can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me, but until she comes back, then
It took me like 30 minutes.
You are back. We lost you there for a second.
Oh man. Let's see, I'll backtrack like a hot second. I tend to share like my meal prep with my clients, and so they can see that it's really not that hard. And then in our next training session, I'll talk about it with them. Mm-hmm. And they'll be like, that only took you 30 minutes to do? And I was like, yeah. And I have half a week's worth of meals. And they're like, seriously? So kind of, teaching them and training them on that stuff is really helpful as well.
Okay. And then the next question is, how many goals would be ideal or realistic for, say, like a 3-month period? Have you seen it where people got kind of going overboard, or what is realistic?
Yeah, so if we go back to my example of the person who wants to lose 20 pounds, for example, so a realistic way to break that down, because average and healthy weight loss is about 1 to 2 pounds a week. And so within 12 weeks, that could be attainable, as long as you really stay on track. So within that goal of 20 pounds, you would need to have that goal of about 1 to 2 pounds a week, or you could also have some inches tied into that as well. And then you'll need to have your SMART goal within that. So you're going to go to the gym certain amount of days a week. You're going to maybe meal prep a certain amount of days a week. And you kind of have those little mini goals within the big goal, if that makes sense. I would say, trying to have that big goal and maybe like 2 to 5 little mini goals that reach up to that big goal, and then have the commitment growing as you go would be good. If you have that one big goal and there's like 20 sub goals, it's probably time to evaluate, like, do all those goals actually add up to that big goal? So it shouldn't be super vast and crazy.
Okay. Well, great. Well, unless anyone else has any questions, we have run out of, those are the questions we've had. So before everyone leaves, I just wanted to touch base on a quick few wrap-up items. First, thank you so much, Jena, for sharing your expertise and insights with us. I learned many things, and I'm going to be applying them too, so thank you.
Of
and
course.
I'm sure I'm not alone. Thanks also to everyone who participated. I hope this was enjoyable and instructive, and I hope you achieve all the goals you set. Tomorrow, attendees will receive an email with a link to the YouTube channel where our webinar recordings are posted, and you can hear the webinar again and see the slides at your leisure. The email will also include a 5-question survey, and really it will take 1 minute, and please do share your feedback with us through that survey. So we are currently working on the February webinar, so please stay tuned and keep an eye out for announcements in the Regis report and social media regarding what's next. So that's it for today. Happy New Year again to everybody, and thank you.